So have you ever wondered what the number one thing that you should consider when you're buying clothes should be? So I know a lot of people, their number one consideration is price. But if you don't know or you don't understand what you're getting for that price, then price becomes a very subjective thing, right? So there's a metric called cost per wear, which basically calculates the true value of a clothing item by dividing its cost by the number of times that you wear it. So the more you wear something, the lower the cost per wear. So let's say you buy a t-shirt for 100 Rand and it stretches after 5 washes. Um, then your cost per wear was 20 Rand, right? But if you buy a t-shirt for 300 Rand and you've worn it once a month over a 3-year period, then the cost per wear is just under 14 Rand. So you can see your upfront cost was higher, but in the end, you actually paid less for the item because you wore it more often and the quality remained even after washing it multiple times. So, what this metric really reveals is the long term value of a clothing item instead of just the upfront cost. So if you think of clothing as an investment, buying quality items, this doesn't necessarily mean you should only buy expensive or designer items. In fact, there are many designer labels which they don't actually put quality first, and you're actually buying their name more than anything else. But you can have a mix of things which makes sense for your lifestyle. So, like, and your personal preferences. So you could have a mix of you could have capsule items that are designer more high quality because you're going to wear them more often. So, for example, a white button-up shirt, especially if you work in the corporate environment, or a trench coat, which you can wear in most seasons if you live in a climate that doesn't get that cold, or like your favorite pair of jeans or a pair of black formal pants. Those items are worth investing in. Your capsule items, the ones you wear more often, because you wear them more often, you want them to be more durable, and that all comes down to quality. So keep in mind that something that is more expensive doesn't necessarily equal quality. The quality of clothing should be judged by a number of factors. So the fabric used, the quality of that fabric. So, for example, if you buy a cashmere item, cashmere, there is different levels of quality of cashmere. So the quality of that fabric as well, and the construction of whichever item you're buying. So what you're paying for is twofold, the quality and the qualities. So the quality, as I mentioned, is the material used and the construction. The qualities are the features of the item. So if you buy a cashmere t-shirt, the quality of that, the feature of it is how soft it is. That's why you bought it, because it's super soft. So basically, what the point is when you are buying items, consider this factor, this cost per wear factor. So it's always good to become familiar with certain brands if you're going to buy designer clothing, so that you know whether their quality, their pricing is actually reflecting quality or whether it's reflecting more their brand. And if you really want to buy designer items, it's really worth looking at secondhand clothing. There are lots of places in South Africa that do that, where they sell secondhand labels, and you can get them, and they're still in really good condition. Some of them are brand new. So I'm sure we've all done this, where we buy an item and we love it and we put it on, but then we either don't have an occasion to wear it, or we liked it more on us in the dressing room than we did at home, which we think about is bizarre because that lighting doesn't flatter anybody. Or you don't know how to style it, you don't know how to put it together with something else, with anything else that you have in your closet. So if you buy designer labels, it is worth looking at secondhand stores, because some of the items are brand new, never worn, or worn once or twice, and you get it for a lot less than if you buy it new. So just a metric to consider the next time you go shopping.